Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is LB the Realist. This is Surrealistic Studios, where the real is surreal. So I'm hoping everybody's doing well. I'm hoping that you're enjoying your day so far. Me could be a lot better. Today is the day that Dr. Bill Cosby has been sentenced. He's been sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison for the sexual or supposed sexual assault of Andrea Constand, the Temple employee, a coordinator for the women's basketball team. Apparently, he gave her Benadryls. That was enough to incapacitate her or to make her pass out or have a feeling of not being able to control her motor function. She couldn't fight him off or anything. We're not going to get into it on this one. We're not going to get into it on this one. This is what happened. I'm going to go ahead and just read a little bit from the Inquirer. That's the dailynewsphilly.com. Bill Cosby was sentenced Tuesday to 3 to 10 years in state prison for his 2004 assault on Andrea Constand, capping a three-year courtroom battle that could force him to spend his final stage of his life behind bars, labeled as a sexually violent predator. Unfucking It's time for justice in a court of law, Montgomery County Judge Stephen T. O'Neill said at the close of a 2-day hearing. The day has come. The time has come. The 81-year-old entertainer showed little reaction as the sentence was announced in a packed Norristown courtroom, casting his eyes down at the defense table. District Attorney Kevin R. Steele had urged the judge to lock Cosby up for the maximum 10-year term, while defense lawyers cited their client's blindness, advanced age, and declining health in a bid for house arrest. They also asked the judge to let Cosby remain free on bail while he appeals. O'Neill denied the request, ordering instead that he be immediately taken away to prison. This is a serious crime, O'Neill said. The nature of this crime indicates that he could quite possibly be a danger to the community. Just before 3 p.m., sheriffs ringed Cosby and walked him in handcuffs from the courtroom and down the hallway. He was expected to be transported to the Montgomery County Jail in Lower Providence Township and transported Tuesday evening to the State Correctional Institution, Phoenix, in Collegeville. There, he will be evaluated for permanent placement within the state prison system. The judge also ordered Cosby to pay a $25,000 fine and the repay of the cost of his prosecution. Just insult to injury. And though Tuesday's hearing capped a prolonged legal battle that included a stream of hearings, appeals, and 2 trials, the significance of the moment hung over the proceedings. With his sentencing, Cosby becomes the first male celebrity or power broker of the Me Too #MeToo era, sent to prison for decades-old sexual misconduct that in years past might have been swept under the rug or ignored. His punishment also cemented his dramatic transformation from a comedic icon revered as a trailblazer for other black entertainers to a Hollywood pariah brought down by his own sense of sexual privilege. So again, they're saying that basically they made Bill Cosby the face of the Me Too movement. They made Bill Cosby, Dr. Bill Cosby, the Honorable Dr. Bill Cosby, the face of the Me Too movement, the rape, the sexual deviant, the sexual misconduct, the sexual harassment, all that shit. They made him the face of it. Think about that for a second. I know it's going over a lot of people's heads like, nope. Just take a second, take 5-10 seconds to just think about that. Bill Cosby, a black man in America. But they made him the face of rape and sexual misconduct. They made him a sexual deviant, a sexual predator. You know, that's still going over so many people's heads, man. And it's unbelievable that so many people are so duped by this, you know, by allegations, by stories that can't be backed up, that can't be verified. There's no physical evidence, no circumstantial evidence. You know, how many women get raped with Benadryl? If somebody could please Google that for me, because I know somebody's dying to fact check my ass. Go ahead. Let me know how many women are raped with Benadryl. I really want to know the numbers on that, because that's what he gave her, supposedly, Benadryls. Moving on. Steele, the prosecutor, said Cosby hid his crimes for years behind the character of Dr. Huxtable, the beloved character in his eponymous, I think I'm pronouncing that horribly wrong, sitcom that became one of the nation's most popular a quarter century ago. A lot of people believe that that's who he was, Steele told reporters after the sentence, but we knew otherwise. The sentence came 5 months after a county jury convicted Cosby on 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault, all tied to the night 14 years ago when he drugged and sexually assaulted Constand at his Cheltenham mansion. It was conduct that both prosecutors and ultimately dozens of other accusers said followed a pattern. For decades, the married star sought out sexual encounters with younger women, many of them aspiring models and actresses. They keep saying younger women, young women, young. Like, come on, man. This man is how old now? Like, almost everybody's younger than him. Like, see how they do? They say shit like that specifically to make you believe or to paint a picture that this man is searching out young girls. Like, come on now. These women are like 20, 30. Like, these are women we're talking about. You're an adult at 18. You go off to war at 18, lose your life for this country. Can't come back and have a drink, but you can go lose your life. Can't smoke a joint, but you can go out and lose your life. Lose a limb. Moving on. Many of them aspiring models and actresses whom he had offered to mentor. 6 of them testified against him at trial, telling jurors that those friendly overtures served only as a pretext to lure them into private meetings where Cosby drugged and assaulted them. Right. Constand's relationship with the comedian, which began while she, operations manager, was working for Temple University's women's basketball team in the early 2000s, played out under similar circumstances. They kind of worded that weird. In her own victim impact statement to the judge, Constand described how the assault, her first attempt to bring charges in 2005, and the ensuing psychological, emotional, and financial bullying changed her life. We may never know the extent of his double life as a sexual predator, she wrote, but his decades-long reign of terror as a serial rapist is over. She sat with relatives as the sentence was announced Tuesday and remained calm. Other accusers in the courtroom patted her on the shoulder. On Tuesday, the judge addressed them both. As she said, Mr. Cosby, you took her beautiful, healthy young spirit and crushed it, O'Neill said. Then turning to her, I don't know whether the defendant read your statement. I did. I heard the very clear impact on your life. Standing the rain outside the courthouse after the hearing, lawyer Gloria Allred huddled with some of his many accusers. There has been no justice for many of the accusers, she said. You see, the thing about Gloria Allred is she's the one that's representing these women, these accusers. This woman is a fucking con artist, if you ask me. She's a fucking fraud. She has a daughter. I forget what her daughter's name is. Damn, I know I mentioned her in another video, but I forgot what her name was. It's lost to me right now. But her daughter represents Harvey Weinstein. Her daughter does the same thing that she did, but represents Harvey Weinstein. And when she was questioned about it, Gloria, she's her own person. No, it's a fucking game. Every time she's on the camera, you see her smiling her ass off like it's a joke to her. Janice Dickinson, one of the accusers in court, was caught laughing and almost got herself kicked out of the courtroom for laughing in the courtroom. Like, this is a fucking game to them. They ruined this. Let me go ahead and continue. Cosby has vehemently, I can never pronounce that word correctly, denied ever assaulting her or any women. Throughout the proceedings, he and his defense team signaled that regardless of the sentencing, his fight to clear his name is far from over. Good. After the hearing, Cosby publicist Andrew Wyatt said an appeal is imminent. He said the district attorney used falsified evidence and called the case one of the most racist and sexist trials in the history of the United States. I agree. Meanwhile, Cosby's wife, Camille, announced last week that she had filed a complaint with Pennsylvania's Judicial Conduct Board and hired a Harrisburg lawyer to investigate allegations she has lodged that O'Neill exhibited bias against her husband throughout his 2 trials, O'Neill being the judge, and Kevin Steele, the DA, as well. Neither she nor any other relatives attended Tuesday's hearings. The 2 rows reserved for his family and supporters were nearly empty. Steele brushed aside criticisms. I understand that there's a larger societal context of this case, he said, but I have to say, this defendant has been treated like any other defendant at our office that our office prosecutes, and there are about 9,500 of them a year. So, again, this was today, September 25th, by Jeremy Roebuck at dailynewsphilly.com, and I'll leave that in the description so you guys can read it for yourselves. And I know I stumble a lot, and I suck at reading sometimes, but this, if you ask me, man, and I know a lot of people won't agree, because you see the world how you see the world, and I don't particularly blame you. I see the world how I see the world, you see the world how you see the world, and we're brought up with our own circumstances, and that shapes us, that shapes our opinions and how we view things and how we judge things. So I can understand if somebody, if you're a victim of sexual abuse, of rape, or any of that stuff, how you could easily see how somebody like Bill Cosby could do something like that and get away with it. I understand that. And me being a black person in America, I'm black and Puerto Rican, but I'm black, you know what I'm saying? I'm straight up. I can totally understand how somebody like me could not trust stories without any evidence. I can't trust the system, the corrupt, racist, white supremacist justice system that we have here in America. And those of us that are woke, quote unquote woke, or whatever you want to say, those of us that know better, know how this shit operates. And we know that innocent men get locked up all the time off the allegations and stories of women, and sometimes men, and it don't have to be a specific gender, but oftentimes it's women that they just tell these stories and they end up getting these guys locked up. And it's always skewed towards the women. It's always skewed towards the women. You could be a man and be abused in a relationship. She can go to court and admit that to the judge, and what do you think will happen? Nothing. The judge won't give a damn, because it's looked at as a joke if a woman abuses a man. You know what I'm saying? But if a man abuses a woman, oh, lock him up, throw away the key. You know what I'm saying? If he's black, it's just 100 times worse. We're automatically guilty until proven guilty. You know what I'm saying? So if you guys, and another point that I have is a lot of people that think that he's guilty, I feel like you're being kind of one-sided, because again, you're viewing it from your situation, but you're not viewing it from a situation of like sort of my situation, like I just described to you, or a situation of just anybody that's been accused of wrongdoing without any evidence being brought forth, without a fair trial, without fair judges and a fair, you know what I'm saying, an unbiased court, an unbiased system. There were jurors that got caught saying, hey, let's hurry up and convict this guy already. We know he did it. And nothing happened. The judge, Stephen T. O'Neill, refused to recuse himself, even though his wife is a sexual assault counselor. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was biased to begin with. The DA, Kevin Steele, ran his whole campaign on convicting Bill Cosby. And people want to say, how do all these women say all this about one person for all these, you know what I'm saying? Like, all these women say you just come out against one. Yeah, what do you think? How do you think? Why do you think they would do that? Why do you think? Money, power, attention. Who are these women? Nobody was talking about any one of these women, right? I know I wasn't. I mean, maybe You know what I'm saying? Like, what the... He settled this in 2004 with Andrea Constant. And to my knowledge, he paid her. I forget the exact amount he paid her. He paid her. It was settled. And the case was sealed in a deposition. They used his own deposition against him, brought it back up, even though it was, you know what I'm saying, the first trial, it was a hung jury. Like, there's so much bullshit involved in this case. It's just too much for me to really expand on. So I would I would direct you to other channels such as Nicole's View and Your World, and check out Drew's Story News, I believe it's called. Let me double check that. I want to make sure I get it right. Drew's Story News. And they really break things down. These are people that actually studied this a lot more than I have. These are people that actually live around that area. They're able to actually make it to some of these court proceedings. They were actually able to dig deep with this information. And you'll find out that a lot of these so-called accusers or so-called victims are lying their asses off. And shit do not add up. Why else do you think they would do this? Well, Bill Cosby was interested in buying NBC and transforming the way black people and people of color are viewed and depicted on television. You got to think, this is a man that changed the game for black people. Like, he, not only with the Cosby Show, but he changed the game as far as black stuntmen. You know what I'm saying? He saw a white guy putting on blackface. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm your stunt guy. I'm like, no, you're not. Go get a black guy to play me. You know what I'm saying? He did that. He was the one helping put all these people in colleges. He was the one that was out here trying to tell us to live right and trying to get his people straight. And what did a lot of our black people do? They went and they turned on him. Hannibal Buress, all these fools out here, like, it's so unbelievable. Like, man, but you know, karma's a bitch. Karma is a bitch. You know, on today, they just sentenced Bill Cosby. I just found out my bro has been locked up for like 2 weeks. Off some bullshit. So this is a real, like, heart-heavy day for me. Like, Bill Cosby, my bro. You know, my other bro's been locked up. You know, so many of our brothers and sisters are going down, either being shot by the police or getting locked up. No evidence, no cooperation, no nothing. No, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't help but to feel like people like me are targeted. I can't help but to feel like that. You mean to tell me all of our history in America, Bill Cosby is the face of rape in America? Bill Cosby is the face of... Come on, man. He... For real? And the creators of the Me Too movement were black. Like, come on. Like, I can't believe, like, this is what they do. They turn your own people against you. They turn people against people. And nobody realizes that it's the motherfuckers up top controlling all this shit. Why do you watch the news and just accept what the fuck they tell you? Well, they've been saying it for years. I guess it must be true. You know, there's something called proof by assertion. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Let me just say proof by assertion. I know somebody's like, yes, you're saying it right. Or no. Yeah, proof. Yeah, am I saying it right? Proof by assertion, sometimes informally referred to as proof by repeated assertion, is an informal fallacy in which a proposition is repeatedly restated regardless of contradiction. So if you keep saying stuff over and over and over and over and over and over again for years, eventually people start to believe that it's true. Especially when it's not checked. Especially when, you know, we're so bombarded with all the bullshit and propaganda out there with the news site and the media and the news. All this is bullshit, if you ask me. I didn't, you know, my heart goes out to Dr. Bill Cosby's family and his friends, his loved ones. You know, they weren't present at the hearing today, I guess, because, you know, they probably didn't want to see him being handcuffed and carried off to prison like that. I wouldn't want to see that either. You know what I'm saying? And just not knowing there's nothing you can do about it. It's unbelievable how they crucified this man in the media for years. Crucified him without a day in court. Crucified him. You may know somebody who was involved in crucifying this man. It's like, it's so fucking shameful. But this is this is our history. This is our history. So, damn. God bless America with 3 Ks. With all that being said, remember to love from your hearts, because we need a lot more of that. Remember, peace, chicken grease, and all that jazz. Like I said, I'll leave the link, I'll leave the article in the description so you guys can check it out for yourselves. Leave me your comments in the comments section down below. And subscribe to me if you haven't before. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Share it if you feel as though it's worthy of being shared. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Until next time.